Thank you, Amira and Neela. My name's Sarah, and I'm really excited to introduce our first partner organisation, Community Savers. They lead a network of women across Greater Manchester that lead saving schemes and strategies that help reduce poverty and inequality in local communities. So I'm really excited to hand over to Sophie King, the Director of Community Savers, and Bernard Sudlow, who is the Treasurer of the Aquarius Community Savers organisation. Thank you.
Hi, good to see you all. My name's Sophie, and I am the director actually of a small charity called Community-Led Action and Saving Support, but we call ourselves CLASS for short. And we are the support agency to a network that is actually now Greater Manchester and Sheffield. And it is a network of place-based community associations that are, as Sarah introduced us, trying to reduce poverty and inequality in their neighbourhoods, but also across their cities and city regions by working together, by sharing learning, and by creating collective voice. We're really excited to see Muungano on the Zoom today because really we're children of Muungano wa Wanavijiji, one of the affiliates of Shack Slum Dwellers International and also the South African SDI Alliance. Community Savers was born out of a series of learning exchanges with activists from those two movements. And what we found was that women leaders, we are a women-led movement, but we are inclusive of all genders, and Bernard is a leader here in Hume. But what we found was that women leaders and community activists across the North and South had experienced a lot of the same dynamics, although the extremity of poverty and their experiences were very different, the contexts were different. The drivers of poverty and people's experiences of local politics and marginalisation from the city centre, the pressures on low-income communities and cities across the North and South were actually very similar, and they had huge amounts to talk about and to share with each other. And we've been lucky through the Global Development Institute to be able to carry on that relationship. So we just took 10 community leaders to Nairobi in November, of whom Bernard was one. So we are now a network of 8 affiliates. Some of our affiliates are small community organisations and some are neighbourhood networks. So they're networks of community organisations who've come together for a stronger collective voice in their local area. One of those is Mars Platinum Community and Age Friendly Network, which is a network of 10 organisations. We were hoping somebody would be here today, but they couldn't make it. 10 organisations who have come together to fight back after an exclusionary PFI-led, private finance initiative-led regeneration process that led to a net loss of 500 social homes, lots of community facilities, left a food desert where people couldn't get fresh fruit and vegetables, and what they got through the regeneration process was lots of housing for private rent and sale that the local families couldn't afford anymore. And so they've come together to organise, to have a stronger voice with their local councillors and with development planning processes, and they're now leading a big redevelopment of a church site, combining council land and church land, to bring in some of the facilities that were promised and never delivered under a previous regeneration process. All of that's happened through learning over time from SDI movements, and so it's really brilliant to be part of One World Together, which is it's so much about what Community Savers has grown out of. So I'm going to hand over to Bernard to talk a little bit about what community action in Hume. But I just wanted to say that one of the things that is so important for us about being a founding partner of One World Together is the unrestricted funding, because we have a number of different challenges around funding. Some of our community action is really well suited to charitable funding because it fits a sort of model of developing poverty reduction projects. But some of what we do is difficult to raise money for. So, for example, if we're trying to contest a local development that's going to have a negative impact on a local community, we need to get a consultant in, an urban planning consultant, to advise communities and work with them. And we need to get that money quickly, and it's very difficult to kind of define that as a sort of charitable fund. So unrestricted resources really help with some of that type of community action. It's also really helped community savers already. We've already had one donation of £1,500. Thank you so much, guys. And that has gone straight in. It's been divided across the affiliates, so they've all got a pot of £500, which they can use as crisis funds. So they can use that for people's gas and electric top-ups. There was somebody who got rushed into hospital the other day, and they've been able to buy him a dressing gown and some slippers. Somebody else, a family that didn't have a bed to sleep. Nobody had a bed to sleep on. It gives us that sort of resource where the groups can respond quickly to crisis, because crisis can't wait for funding cycles. So there's lots of different reasons why unrestricted funding is really important for these guys. I've spoken too long already, sorry. Over to Bernard.
The crisis fund, am I on? The crisis fund at the moment is in the blue tin, and that blue tin is on its way to Roy, who couldn't make the meeting the other day, but hopefully will do in the near future, because he's on the list to hold that crisis fund for the community in Aquarius Estate, which is just over here a little bit where I live, and where the struggle has been going on since I moved in, which is 34 years ago. But it's only gaining momentum through the association that we picked up with class. It's been extremely useful. We're now knocking on doors, and doors are getting opened. It's extraordinary. And we've been over to, some of us have been over to Kenya, and we've had the same story heard there, that if you work in this way, if you work together, if you have a degree of unity amongst your emphasis, then the doors will get opened. If you have money in your pocket, the doors get open. It's weird. But it makes a difference, and that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to match the crisis with a mechanism that can cope with the crisis and make it easier for us all to discover a quality of life that we're all entitled to. It makes a difference, and being part of that is a huge privilege. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Chegwe. There's, where Roy lives is in a tower block that is inherited over time, built by the city council back in the 70s when nobody had any real money, just coming out of the Second World War stuff. And the government said, no, we can't, the central government said, no, we can't give you any money for this. Can just put something up, keep people happy. So the slum clearance went through in the 70s, and this tower block has survived that process. It's proper bricks and mortar. Basically north-south is very nice. The sun gets it out, that's another story. But Roy's in there with at least 70 other people, and they're all a little bit advanced in years, let's say. So anybody who is familiar with that idea, you know that you've lived here that amount of time, you get a little bit edgy about stuff, a little bit sensitive, maybe, it's time for a beer, time for a lie down. This community has been shrouded in a degree of, what would you call it, ignorance, neglect, that's the word I was looking for. This community has been allowed to occupy this space through processes that have overtaken them outside and ignored their interests and largely been neglected. And that's created a huge problem for the community. People are looking for medical attention, not getting it. People are looking for mental health, well-being, support, not getting it. And the community's having to bail them out. The community's got no resources to work with. But then up pops Class and Sophie and says, have you tried this way? Look at what they're doing over there in Nairobi. Look at how they're handling things. And so we're out going around knocking on doors ourselves and building a movement towards the idea of supporting the community need, and it's really happening. It's really making a difference. We're talking to our local housing association, and they're listening. It is extraordinary. Sorry, I don't mean to make too much out of that, but it is important that people up the stairs hear what the people down the stairs have to say, because however you look at it, everything's coming in that direction. That change needs to happen, and if it doesn't, then, well, that's another story. But change is happening, and it's happening here today, with Nikki's help, with Chegwi's help, with the kids here. It's really important, I feel, that we're allowing this to happen through the stuff that we do. But then commitment, as you'll know, is not so much about words, it's more about action. And what I see is happening in Hume with the help that we're getting from class is some of that action. People are making a difference, people are feeling more comfortable about themselves, people have a great sense of where we're headed with all of this. And that's really how it needs to be. People have voice, people have ears, people can make choices, informed, and create a better world for all of us.
If it's all right with you, I'll be able to take maybe 2 quick questions. And then any remaining questions, please feel free to use the QR code. Is that?
Yeah. Thank you.
Am I working?
Oh no, it's my PhD supervisor. Uh-oh.
Where's that paper? No. No, brilliant to hear about this, having been hearing about it at arm's length for too long. So it's just a quick one about the exchange. Just to give us a couple of concrete examples of what, Bernard and others have learned, brought back from Nairobi and elsewhere, sort of concrete strategies that have traversed the sort of south-north divide would be great. Thanks.
It's a good question. One of the things that I noticed in Nairobi was how effective the interest to engage with authority worked, how effective it was. I had the privilege of going into a government office and hearing the housing officer agreeing sharply with the group as to where we should go with slum development and housing projects across the city. That was very impressive. But what I missed on that occasion, other members of the group have fed me in on, was a citywide project. What was it called?
Know Your City TV.
Know Your City TV. Now, I know about that. I don't know as much as I know about that. I know that other people who went to that do know more, but only the other day, it's coming back to me. We've got a group of kids turning up at the community centre over at Aquarius, and they're running up and down. It's a little bit, how do you describe that? And so, what would they like to do? They'd like to make a film. Oh, I know how to do that. Well, I don't know quite how to do that. I know some of it, but I also know that it's been done in Nairobi, and I know that the Muungano group, Muungano group have achieved in that direction. So I know it's possible. So let's, pull out those stops and let's see what music we can make with it.
Yes, there was a lot of different leaders that were really inspired by the youth leaders. Know Your City TV, if anyone doesn't know, it's a project where young people get trained up in photography and filmmaking skills and music technology, and they sort of work with the movement in Kenya to document their processes and their achievements. So similarly in Miles Platting, they're now recruiting for youth community reporters to try to start testing out that idea, and they've been trying to mobilise young people in Miles Platting for a long time, but not really working out how that might work. So this is like a latest strategy. But I mean, fundamentally, I would say over the last few years of exchanges, one of the things that has really translated well for UK communities has been the enumeration and profiling methodologies of SDI, community-led data gathering. And Hopton Court Tower Block is a classic example of that, where tenants in 2021 did their own, they got trained up, they designed their own survey for the block, they managed to get something like a 55% response rate, which in a city tower block is really high. And they basically profiled the block and they said, look, these are the people who live here, these are the problems they're facing, this is how many years they've gone without support and services. These are the stories of people falling through the gaps in health and social care, and they used that data to create a whole new partnership called Ageing Well in Place in Hume, which has involved universities, the Housing Association, local GPs. And they've got all sorts of changes. They've got independent living advisors in, they've got new community space being renovated, they've had their lifts replaced, it's transformed the block. And now other communities are looking to learn from that, so it's kind of having a domino effect across the network here in the UK.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Community Savers, for presenting all of your incredible work. And now, please welcome Anne, who will present the next organization.
Thank you, Anila. My name is Anne. I'm very pleased to introduce Muungano Youth Federation, who is part of Muungano Wanavijiji, which is a federation of slum dwellers in Kenya. This federation arose from a social movement back in 20 years ago in Kenya. And I'm very pleased to introduce Camilla, Stanley, and Jane that are going to share with us the incredible work that 12,000 youth have been doing one step at a time within the urban poor in Kenya. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon. I'm joined here by Muungano Youth from 12 Muungano Youth from 4 different settlements. That is Kibera, Huruma, Mathare, and Kukuru. They are excited to be part of the launch. And essentially, we have different categories of youth as Muungano Youth. But I would want to call upon one Federation Youth, Camilla, who will share more on what Muungano Youth is and what they do. Welcome, Camilla.
Hi, I'm Camilla. My name is Camilla Gojobe. I'm a Muungano Youth from Mukuru. And Muungano Wanavijiji is a movement of slum dwellers, and we have the Senior Federation and the Youth Federation. So all of us here are part of the Youth Federation, and some of the activities we do or the things we do in the movement is advocate for basic services and issues that are in formal settlements. We collect data, and that is both ways between the senior and the youth. So the youth will take lead in all of this, in advocacy, in data collection, we do savings. We are affiliated to different groups in formal settlements within our areas, and we do savings. And we also do documentation where we collect the whole process of the activities we do. And like one of the activities we did as Muungano Youth was during the peace election. We organized ourselves. So one of the key issues we do is organizing. We organized ourselves between all the youth in different formal settlements, and because we knew from previous elections that we normally have violence. Yeah. So we decided most of the time youth are used for violence. So we decided for it to stop, we'll organize youth from different informal settlements, organize activities that will engage all of these youth, and not only engaging the youth, but also engaging on the people who were vying for those seats. So we had different activities in all areas. We had peace walks. In other communities, we do graffitis. In other settlements, we had talks, dialogues with the politician. So in the movement, we do different things, but first is organizing the youth, identify different problems in the informal settlement, and seeing how do we advocate for these issues. So I'll just invite Kelvin, who's just beside me, and he'll take us through some of the activities we do within our areas.
Hello, I'm Kevin, one of the Muungano youth from Madare. One of the activities that we went through was we had a comp lab in one of the hotels in Kenya, which we discussed about, it was majorly about of youths on what we should be doing, the kind of children that they want, and what they should, do they see that is good for them, so that the youth will always participate in all the necessary things that were there. Part of the thing that came out there was that all the youths came together and decided that it's time for them to take the platform so that they may take all the lead in all the decision-making table, and they do not want all the decisions to be made for them. They want to make the decision themselves. Other thing that the youth identified the problems that are affecting them in the settlement, both from Madare, Kibera, Mkuru, and even other settlements like Kawangware. And it came to the attention of the organization as Muungano that youth from this settlement or the community at large complains a lot that in fact, they came upon it like a pyramid. There's government there, there's cartels in the middle, and there's people of the community, where the government and cartels squander all the resources so that the community should not get the resources. So community are always complaining. So this made the youths, these are the things that youths complained about. So the solution that the youths came about was they came about their tree of transformation, which I think they say that if all the members of the community, from the youth, elders, and other children come together, it will help them sort out the issue of these cartels. With the tree of transformation, it came from roots. They had faith, hope, love, pride, and peace. And then in terms of stem, it presented unity. And then fruits was these good lives that they want, which come with a good education, proper health care, sustainability of good livelihoods, everything. I think these things spearheaded the youth to go to their community, and which in turn help for the organization very well in mobilizing them, because the youth when the lab went ahead and spread the information to the whole community, which you hear that it helped the organization in everything that they were carrying on, as Camilla was saying, because the youth were willing, and all the members of the communities were willing to participate, which brought good results during the election period, where you saw there was a lot of peace. And in other times, again, being good at results, as you can see, there's right now, even there's finance bill in Kenya, all the members of the community, and this whole community I've mentioned, and Kenya at large, are fighting for their rights so that they may have their own support, so that government cannot oppress them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I think Kevin has really, and Camilla have really shared in detail some of the activities that Muungano youth are undertaking. But most importantly is to note that Muungano youth support the larger Muungano and Wanavijiji social movement to ensure that we are advancing the social change within the different communities that we work in. Kevin has shared about a success story that the young people were able to develop their own theory of transformation. Essentially what he's saying is that they have an agenda that they would want to advance. Also to notice that we have 3 categories of the youth activists that we engage. We have those that are emerging, those young people that we keep on mobilizing each and every other day as we implement our activities. Then we have what we call mature youth activists. These are young people who've been within the movement and have really been supporting in the most of the work that the movement has been doing. We have over 12,000 active Federation youth who are advancing all the work that we're doing. And maybe to build on what Camilla said is that we got the support from One World Together on the peace campaign. And as a result, we had a very peaceful elections for the first time here in Kenya. And then we have the last group, which is what we call the mature youth activists. And their role is basically to mentor and give hope and build the relationship with the young people within the different communities. And I would want to call upon the 3 of them to basically and quickly give their expectations and why we are excited as Muungano Youth to really join One World Together. So I will call, the first one will be Pauline, then we'll have to, then we conclude Jonte.
Okay, thank you. I'm one of senior youth in Kenya, and the way my fellow youth have been saying here about how youth have transformed from when we started the federation, we were all youth, but the way the days are going, you have to transform to give the other youth space. So for now, we are mentoring them by showing them the ways, because when you are a youth, you won't be a youth for long, so you have to give spaces for coming generation. So for us, we involve them in different activities, but most where we connect with them is through organizing them and building movement, because we know in Muungano we are a movement. So for us, we emphasize them to build movements where they come up with several things, like the youth which we are talking about to them today. They came with a theory of change, and this theory of change was the way they have planned how they are going to work for 5 years. So through this, we have been supporting them. My fellow...
Maybe Ture can quickly add so that you complete power.
So for me, I will just be short and brief. One thing that I've seen is all about what we have is about solidarity. How do we mentor young people from different informal settlements and how we can work together? Sure, I've seen that you have a good plan and also a solidarity fund. Young people are going through a lot in different communities. They are facing intimidation, threats by police and also other duty bearers. So for this platform, we build this platform so that we can bring the stakeholders and duty bearers, young people together. And for this, we can see that if we can decolonize also the funding so that we can also support community youth groups and young people who have great initiatives that can transform their communities, so that we can work and achieve to have a better one world as a continent, and also as young people, we can build solidarity online so that we can also transform this online space where we have seen young people being bullied and everything. Thank you. Welcome, Jonte.
Thank you so much to Anne and Muungano. I can only imagine what 12,000 youth could do. If you have any further questions, please put them on Menti. We do not have enough time to answer them right now, but we will answer all the questions at the end of the program. Please join me in welcoming Tarini now to introduce our next partner organization, Play It Forward.
Thank you, Mira. Hi, I'm Tarini, and I'm really excited to introduce Play Forward from Zambia, who are an incredible community-based organization working with children to providing opportunities through education and health activities, such as using football for development. I would like to hand over to Lawana, and you can hear about the amazing work that's been done to transform the lives of young children. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. How are you, everyone? My name is Luanga Kwalia from Play It Forward. I'm the country director. Play It Forward is a sport for development NGO using football as a tool for social change. We initially started as Young Boys Football Club in 2016, bringing young boys from the Dambo community to have a space where they could just, after school, because they were engaging in violence and drug abuse, that they could have a space where they could just play football. And what happened was immense. Young people kept coming together, and we had to actually do a formal structure in the name of Livingston Youth Football Academy. In that time, we started also, apart from just giving them coaching, we also started notice that most of the boys were struggling in school, and we started offering homework support through a network of just volunteers and mentors who just sit with the boys and help them with homework and schoolwork after school. And what happened with the community is that we also then noticed that in the same community, the young girls were missing out from having a structured environment for play, but also that they did not have coaches, they did not have the homework support, and they did not have any educational support. So through conversations with Chiwe, who's in the room with you now, we had girls come through and they started playing football with us. And I actually want to share, because that is something that is truly transformational in terms of what happens if you give a group of young girls opportunity. They surprised us all, because what the boys had failed to do in the 6 years that we worked with them, the girls moved from our district league playing into Zambia's highest league of women, and our girls are actually traveling the world and playing football all over and earning an income whilst playing football. And that is sort of a really amazing story for us, and truly testament of what can actually happen with structure and opportunity. And actually, out of the same team of girls, one of the girls, Marjorie Wire, who was on the team, was actually invited to try out for the Zambian women's national team that's going to the World Cup this year. See, for Marjorie, she had dropped out of school because she had gotten pregnant. She gave birth, got pregnant again, and then had to deal with the loss of a child. And still, through all this, was invited to play, to actually compete and try out for a World Cup team. And if you want to really find out, like, why do we do this and why does it matter, it's stories like that, that sometimes being able to be given a second chance at the pathway out of poverty can be instrumental for young people. Now, Marjorie hasn't made it to the team that has finally been selected. But for our girls, what that means is there's been a shift, from hope to belief that this is now possible. They can travel, they can earn, they can live, and actually have a sustainable livelihood through football. And that is what Play It Forward does. We have a league in Sinazongo that we built up from the ground up to give opportunity to girls who had left school and dropped out to return back to school through football. We are working with over 2,000 youths annually, helping them through football embedded drills to actually make healthy life choice with their sexual health. Some of the truly missing elements, because sometimes things like sex and actually talking about how young people's bodies work are still shamed upon and are still taboo in our communities. So those are cultural barriers that Play It Forward are shifting. And one of the hallmarks is being able to actually listen to the young people that come to us. Something that actually happened that I would like to share is the story of a young boy called Joseph Peach. Joseph Peach joined Played Forward primarily for football. Good player, he has dreams of becoming a professional footballer. But through contact with our coaches, it's only then that we realized that he was orphaned and lived with his grandmother and could not actually afford to go back to school. And the problem with that is school in Zambia is actually now essentially free. All a child has to show up with his uniform and books, and the grandmother could not afford that. So when we heard this story, we gave him books, we bought uniform, we spoke to the school to actually give him a place. And through that facilitation, Joseph Piche, who was a year behind, quickly caught up. Now is sort of the top student. We just collected his results, and the teachers are really, really, really happy with him. We have a saying at Played Forward where we say it's one dream at a time, and that is essentially how it actually reflects, that a boy who dreamed of going to school can have a place in school and actually thrive when given that opportunity. So joining One World together means that for us, we have a team of caring staff. We have people who are really passionate about developing our community. They're passionate about being there. It does mean that they can actually settle with Played Forward. They are not worrying about where they're going to have a job next year. They're not really worrying about, can we do this or that? Because sometimes we have to experiment, we have to check, we have to really probe at finding what the problem is. And change actually takes time. It takes a while to actually see that difference. And we are working towards, and we've seen tremendous results. I also want to offer some perspective, because you essentially One World Together is asking for £1 a month, as low as that. I don't know what £1 actually means to you, but I can tell you what it means to me. You see, £1 can give a child meals for a week. Now we can have conversations around how sustainable is it to give young people food, but what you're actually giving them is time. Because sometimes for a child, their dream is just not to go to bed hungry. And if you can feed them for a week, it means now they can look up, they have time to play, they have time to actually think through their future, they have time to dream. And that is what time means. And time is hope. And if you give that enough to a community, they themselves can then step up and actually surprise us, like our girls team had done. So thank you very much. I hope you help us some perspective.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the incredible and inspiring stories, and thank you for all of the work you're doing. And now, please welcome Asma, who's going to present the last partner organization for today. And yes, please, Asma.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asma, and I'm excited to introduce our final partner organization for today, Raising Futures Kenya. Not only is this organization committed to provide financial counseling to the many young people in Kenya, but they also provide them with a secure way to save for their futures. So without wasting any time, I'm going to introduce and hand over to Leela Shanti and to Florence Olenge to tell you more about the wonderful work that they do and the impact that they've created.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Florence Olenge. I'm a program manager of Raising Futures Kenya, Seed of Hope program. So at Raising Futures, we equip and empower young people. We also nurture them so that they can be self-sufficient. So we give them education, training, and we also make sure that they are able to set up their businesses. So the trainings that we give them, we ensure that they are able to cater for the needs in their families and also part of their relatives. So through our Seed of Hope program, we address youth unemployment by offering free technical and vocational training to young people between age 15 to 25. We train an approximate of 900 students per year, and out of these 900 students, 70% of them are female, and 70% who are female, again 30% of them comprise of young mothers. Most of them have dropped out of school, maybe because of early pregnancy or baby marriages or issues here and there. So the kind of training that we offer are technical and vocational courses, which are fashion and fabric design, hair and beauty therapy, catering and hospitality, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and computer. So the financial literacy and computer is an all-round course of which all the students coming to the institutions must be able to get. At the same time, it's also a 7-week short course that the students are also allowed to take. So we also give them other support, like we make sure that we give them lunch. We have a lunch program that the students get every day. We have individual counseling sessions. We have menstrual hygiene training and sanitary towels. We also distribute to girls every month. And then for the young mothers, we ensure that we give them child care vouchers so that they can be able to take care of their children. Just making sure that they are taken to daycare centers. And even if they are left at home, the person taking care of them is able to give them something to eat. So from the 20 years of experience of working with children and young people, we know our comprehensive package of training, counseling, and practical support leads to 90% graduates being either employed or self-employed. So our programs are based in or are located in Nairobi, Kenya, Murang'a, and Kitui. So all these centers are NITA accredited. NITA is the National Industrial Training Authority, and also TVETA accredited. So these are accreditations that we get from the government that approves that we are giving the right training. So very many young people have benefited from our training, and they've been able to cater for their families. They've been able to take care of their families. Most of the young mothers are able to take care of their children. So an example is a young girl who dropped out of school at 11 years because her parents passed away, and then she was left with the grandmother. So the grandmother could not take care of the family because she was the firstborn. This young girl was called Lynette. So being the firstborn, an auntie of hers came and took her from the rural area to Nairobi, promising the grandmother that they are going to take her to school, which did not happen. In fact, she ended up being house help of the auntie. But unfortunately, the uncle, that is the auntie's husband, took advantage of her and raped her, and she got pregnant. So she later on, in fact, she was thrown out of the house, so she had to go back to the grandmother. So when she gave birth, she came back to Nairobi again. So she was now struggling to look for how she can get education or any training. She really wanted to be a fashion designer, but she didn't know how to become a fashion designer. She didn't know how to get the training because she didn't have money to pay her school fees. When she came back to Nairobi, she was putting up with a friend. So she decided to start doing some odd jobs. So one day she came across the students of Seed of Hope Center, and they directed her where the program is, and we enrolled her into the program. So in 2019, she graduated, and then she went for an internship placement in the town center of Nairobi. So while there, she got the person who gave her internship placement decided to employ her. So she worked there for some time, and then later she decided to set up her business. So she was working at the same time, working on her business in the evening when she gets back home. So Lynette was able to take care of her grandmother. She was able to take care of her siblings and also her twins. So that is the good thing about our program, because Lynette was really traumatized. She went through a lot, especially after what she, after the rape and also giving birth to her child. But through the counseling sessions that we give the young people in our center, so Lynette is able to overcome all this and provide for her family. So since we introduced the Young Mothers program, the school has recorded a significant number of young mothers who had decided to enroll to earn a skill that would enable them to cater for their young children. And the organization also noted their commitment and helped them by giving them the child care vouchers so that they can be able to concentrate in school. So this child care voucher ensures that the young mothers are able to attend the school daily instead of interference of them going to look for work every now and then to sustain their families. So we have recorded a very good number of young mothers, and at the same time, it is these young mothers again who lead, especially in the program, in their academics. So we are really ensuring that we are giving them the right direction and the skills that they need. So One World Together is really benefiting us, and we are very, very happy to work with you. So we are looking forward to a solidarity fund that provides us, that you provide to us. So this will enable us to cater for even emergencies that would come our way. And when you are funding us or when you are fundraising for us, you are not only fundraising for one student. You can imagine you are, now if you look at Lynette's case, it is not only Lynette who has benefited, but it is her whole community, her whole family, her siblings, her children, and also the grandmother. So I am with my colleague here, Leila. So I would also want her to talk about the One World Together and how we are looking forward to work with the organization. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I think Florence has shared so much already about what the program is doing, but I think it's so important what One World Together is doing. So speaking from a partner organisation here in the UK, there is this imbalance in our partnership because the majority of our funds are raised in the UK. The majority of them are restricted. And what the Solidarity Fund is doing is putting unrestricted funding into the hands of people like Florence who are managing this incredible program. It enables that dynamism, that agility for people who are working with young people to be able to find the right solutions that they're facing. So thank you so much for coming together and not waiting for change, for being a part of disrupting the change, disrupting the way charitable giving works. It's really, I keep coming back to Chibwe's point at the beginning about the current structures being actually disrespectful because they're not based on trust. There is no reason why funds can't be put in the hands of people who are closest to the issues, who are closest to how to find solutions to rising youth unemployment, to rising inflation, and all of the challenges that come about through that. So thank you so much for being here and for taking part.
Thank you so much to Asma and Raising Futures Kenya, and to all of our wonderful partner organizations who've spoken today.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'll give you a quick brief about our launching website. So our main website is still being prepared, but we still have our small website, which you can just basically look at our partner organizations and click on the links and check their motivations and their websites. You can find our motivations and our values. And one important thing about this website is you can become a global citizen and sign up for our Solidarity Fund. And basically how this works is you can click on these links. And so the first one is to be an annual member. So you can pay as little as £5 per year or £20 per year. And our other option is you can make your monthly donations. And the reason that these two are separated is, as Chiba highlighted before, is for the purposes of the radical transparency. We've separated out like the memberships, and so that like donations to the Solidarity Fund can be made on the basis of, basically the money directly goes to our partner organizations. And you can also make a one-off donation as well if you don't want to become a member or make a monthly donation. And after this, we have our merchandise here. You guys can get yourself nice T-shirts, nice sweaters, and nice photos of our members. And you can stay in touch with us through Instagram, through LinkedIn, through Twitter as well. And you can also sign up for our email list, and you'll be updated about our newest kind of basically we will update you about our whatever we do. So all right, thank you very much. Thank you.